It only takes one spark, one insight, one idea to create the exponential growth you desire. Welcome to the Growth Mode Podcast, where we share the strategies for your growth. Welcome back to the Growth Mode. We are here with a very special guest of mine and a dear friend. And we're going to be talking about something that people are obsessed with getting better at. In fact, I was just doing a webinar recently, Ken, where I asked the question to a group of almost 1,000 agents. I said, how many of you want to get better at using video to attract customers? And I think the overwhelming response, probably 85% of people, and this is in 2025, this is not 2020 or 2015, still to this day, Ken, the desire to leverage video, I think is still at an all-time high. I'm not saying as high as AI, but I'm saying it's a very close second right now. So what we thought would be fun is Ken and I thought it'd be fun to kind of put together a special edition of the Growth Mode podcast where Ken walks us through the 5 videos that have made him the most amount of money. And what I love about this session, because I've gotten a sneak peek of some of the ideas that Ken's going to share, is I love that the fact that these videos are things that everybody, whether you're a new creator or someone who has an existing channel or someone who's actually trying to grow their channel, I think every creator can take some insight from these ideas. But Ken, before we dive into it, do you want to give everyone who doesn't know who you are a very brief introduction about who you are, what you're doing, and then what's going on in your business right now, my friend?
Yeah, man. So I'm Ken Pozek from Orlando, Florida. Originally from Detroit. So we moved here 2016 and I kicked off doing some YouTube videos with my phone in 2018 or so. So it's been about 7 years. We put out since then probably 2,000 videos between Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And our business is primarily driven by social media. And so this year we'll close out right over $400 million in volume and just over 600 sides. The cool thing is I have Zillowrealtor.com. Our page strategy is pretty small. It's mostly just following around people that are already in our database if they're not reaching out to us organically.
Yeah, and I'm curious before we get into the examples that we have today to cover and the stories you're going to share, because this is going to be a show where people, if you're driving right now, you're going to pull over and take notes. If you're watching on YouTube, you're probably going to go back and rewatch what Ken says here. But at this stage, with you said what 2,000 videos created, is it a formulaic approach now? Where 100% this is the exact video I'm going to create every single week, or is there a healthy balance for you of, call it, I got a new idea, I want to test it, but I'm running like an 80% of my playbook is what I've done before in the past. Like, how does that ratio balance out for you guys?
I would say it's, we put out 8 videos a week on my channel, or sorry, 8 videos a month on my personal channel. 4 of those are shot prior to, and 4 of those are live streams. And so the live streams are always the same. I show up, I have 8 to 10 different topics I'm going to talk about in front of a live audience. Live audience being, we use StreamYard, and we stream out to X and LinkedIn and YouTube all at the same place. But the other 4, the ones that were actually shot, I would say 3 of those are planned well in advance, where it's going to either be what we're going to talk about today, sort of one of the 5 examples. And then the random one of the 4 are going to be sort of market of the moment or like a cool opportunity that pops up. I mean, our brand is pretty synonymous with Orlando, and we get people all the time that reach out to us to cover cool new stuff. So next week, for example, I don't know when this video is coming out, but for you, but on ours, next Tuesday, I'll be putting out a video. There's like 80 lots in this very high-end exclusive neighborhood that nobody really knows about. And so they're like, hey, we haven't done this with anybody else. Would you come cover it for us? Okay, great. I'm going to break from the norm. I'm going to go do that. But for the most part, 75, 80%, we know exactly what we're going to shoot for the next month.
What I love about that is I think that is the right amount of spontaneity. Like, I think of Google famously has Google 20% time, which is, Google would basically say, hey, you're going to be working on the mothership, which is search, the majority of the time that you're doing work, but 20% of the time you could screw around, work on anything else. Now they've had there's a website I think that exists. We'll probably drop in the show notes here of like all of Google's businesses that they killed. It's a crazy long list of businesses that they've launched and killed. But what has emerged from 20% time is things like the Chrome browser, is things like Google Maps, is things like, I think Gmail was part of that as well. So there are some mainstays that have emerged from the experimentation. And I think it's actually, if we were to say to a certain degree, the word marketing is just another word for experimentation. Is this kind of having a
Yeah.
systematic approach? But you can't. I think what's interesting and probably worth noting here for our listeners is you can't be doing that 100% of the time, because what will happen is it just dramatically reduces your ability to produce. I would imagine, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, famously, I did like 100 videos in 100 days when I first started this out because I had no idea what I didn't know, and I was like, I'm going to figure this out as fast as possible by putting out as much crap as possible, and I'm going to make a little bit better of a video every time. And now I look up, I'm like, okay, that was a lot of iteration. Now there's enough people out there that do it and do it well that you could just look at their channel, copy what they're doing. And yeah, I think you have to do it enough times to figure out like, am I good at this? What can I improve on before you start going like, I'm going to do theme park tours for us, for example, and then I'm going to go do builder trade in, and I'm going to do listing tours, and I'm going to be all over the place. Like you have to
Mhm.
kind of figure it out and niching down for a little bit before you start to get a little too creative.
There's a, and I'm probably going to pronounce her name wrong, so I apologize. Jenny Hoaz, I believe her name is, from she was on a podcast called My First Million, and she's a very young creator, in her early 20s, maybe just literally turned 20, and she has 100 million views on her YouTube Shorts. And what I love about what she says is she does exactly what you just described, where she initially put out a ton of content just to see what her audience would resonate with, figured that out quickly, embarrassed herself a little bit, found out what worked, and then she just runs that playbook with, what her audience actually wants over and over
Yep.
again. She's one of, like, she is the, I've heard her be described as the female Mr. Beast. Which is, I think, a pretty incredible description. So we'll link
Yep.
a link to her show notes there. Ken, why don't we get this ball rolling here? Five
Yeah, man.
videos that have made you money. Where do you want to start?
All right, so let's start with the first one. Can you see my screen over here?
Yep.
All right, cool. So the one up top here, I love to share this one because for a lot of reasons. One, it's my most famous video in terms of just overall views. So Shaquille O'Neal, he had his house listed here. And he had it listed for multiple years with multiple agents. And about 4 years ago, our channel had maybe 10,000 subscribers. And I reached out. I'm like, hey, listen, to the listing agent. I didn't list Shaq's house, but I reached out to the listing agent and I said, hey, I know it's listed for 16 million. I've got this channel. I'd love to feature it. And she very well could have said no.
Hmm.
But she said yes. And so gets to be like, almost 2 million views. I didn't sell the house, but the cool thing I love about this is that I actually started to get leads that were like, hey, I can't afford Shaq's house, but I can afford a $2 million house or a $3 million
Hmm.
house. And I'm like, okay, cool. So it was his first foyer to me into this idea that I don't have to feature just my own listings, that I'm allowed to create content that I find interesting, that are also going to be interesting to my ideal audience. And so like that's the cool thing with any kind of video, especially YouTube, is like create content for the client, your dream client. And the more
Hmm.
you do with that, the more you're going to like be the expert that they're looking for. And so now
Yeah.
we list luxury homes all the time now.
Yep.
Some of one of the most expensive in all of Central Florida comes through my team, and a lot of it comes from YouTube because we put out so much of this now. And so that's the cool thing. If you want to do investors, great, put out investor content, niche it down to your city. If you want to be first-time home buyers, VA, luxury,
Hmm.
doesn't matter. Like you put out that kind of content, and that's who's going to show up.
Well, I think that, so. First of all, I know the luxury homes that you list and sell, like in Golden Oaks. 'Cause I'm always checking them out. I mean, these are the
Yeah.
spectacular homes and like Disney's most elite part of their communities. And I'm always like, my family actually shares the video amongst them in a private chat because my family loves Disney World at this stage. They are
Yeah.
obsessed with it. But what I think the takeaway there, this is an important takeaway here, which you touched on, that I want to just reiterate, which is other people's listings.
Mhm.
That is like, and I want to maybe just peel the onion back a little bit more here, Ken, which is, if you don't have a lot of listings, that is not an excuse not to create video content about listings.
That's right.
What
That's
is
right.
what is the script? What is the approach you use? Like, let's imagine for a second, Ken. I got 100 subscribers on YouTube. I don't got 10,000. I got
Mhm.
100. I want. I'm gonna reach out to a listing agent who I know has got a listing that would probably do really well on my channel.
Mhm.
What is the approach that you're taking in that scenario?
So it's the thing about it is it's just like expireds and for sale by owners. You're going to get a lot of no's before you get a yes. And
Mm-hmm.
so for people listening, like if people reach out to me today and say, "Can I do a video on your listing?" The answer is probably going to be no, because we have a full video crew and staff that's doing this, and we want to protect it. But that being said, there's a lot of agents that do no media, and their
Yeah.
sellers would love them to. And if you show up and you say, "Hey, I want to do some content for my Instagram or my YouTube channel, and here's what I want it to do," and tell them like, "Hey, listen, I've got a pat like say, Jimmy, say you had a channel with only 100 subscribers, but you have 300 past clients, and so you've got a
Yep.
list now of 400 people. So I'll be like, hey, I've got a list of 400 people that get my content about what's going on here in Dallas. I'd love to send them more information about your listing. Can I go shoot a video?" And the
Yeah.
idea is that you're trying to get through and you want to sell it, and even tell them like, hey, I'm going to give you credit in the description. I'm going to make sure that it's not, I'm not going to come across as though like it's my listing. I'm going to be very clear, like, Mary Sue with, XYZ brokerage is a listing agent. She's letting us in. I'm so excited to show you these four things that blew me away about this house.
Yeah. It's actually, we're going to move on to number two here, but this is a very, very important thing to understand, which is a listing is the best marketable asset we have in real estate, bar none. It's what people want to see, like to view, like to share, like to comment on. And so, and by the way, whether it's your listing or someone else's listing, the fact that you're out there promoting it, there's an old expression, which is if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And so this is like you kind of demonstrating to the world, hey, I'm a really busy person. So other people's listings can help you make money on YouTube as it has for Ken. Number two, Ken, where do you want to go?
I've been going to these quite a bit over the past 5, 6 years, and these are these versus videos. So
Mm,
these crush for a lot of reasons, but again, going back to the ideal client for us for the longest time was the person relocating to Orlando. And when I think about people relocating to the area, they're probably searching reunion versus celebration. Claremont versus Winter Garden, Lake Nona versus Horizon West. They're similar, and they're just sort of curious. How are these similar and different? Like the price points seem the same. Why are they different? And so
hmm
you're creating these videos that answer the question that they're already searching for. So this most recent one we did maybe a year ago, Claremont versus Winter Gardens, got 40,000 views. I think this one brought us like 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, and we get leads specifically mentioning these videos all the time. You brought clarity to our home search process, and because of that, we want to work with you. And so
hmm
you'll notice for those that are watching the video back, I had this AI background. These are crushing for us in terms of a click through rate. And so you can
Yep.
see like on the left side, I literally just went into Chat GPT and I said, show me a rolling hills area with oranges that looks a little bit idealistic with a brighter sun. And so on the left side, that's what Claremont looks like. And then on
hmm
the right, it's, I said, hey, show me an old school downtown in US America, Main Street, with rolling hills behind it. And so I merged those two photos together, threw my face over it. And this is one
Yep.
of our best click through rate thumbnails that we have. And you notice there's like no words on it or any of
Yep.
that. And yet, it did a really, really good job. So these types of videos absolutely crush for us.
Well, this is a perfect example. Is let's just explain a basic marketing funnel. You got top, you got middle, you got bottom. Top of funnel is people searching for words like homes for sale in Florida. Bottom
Hmm.
of funnel, it might be something searching for like I need a mortgage as an example. Middle of the funnel is exactly what Ken just described, which is if you've been actively looking to make a move in the last say 6 months, you're now past the search of like looking at homes. You've got that covered. You're now comparing areas. It's a great sort of call. You're getting that sort of middle of funnel, which I think that normally those types of leads are usually 3 months out, maybe 6 months out. They're not two, some of them might be 2 years out, a year out, but they are, it seems to be a much faster timeline. Has that been your experience with those types of leads?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they've done enough research to be dangerous, right? It's not just
Yeah.
they're moving to Florida, but they've gone the next step of what's the neighborhood, what's the city, what's the area, and why are they different? This is what they're looking for a confirmation bias almost at that point. They're looking for like, hey, this is what I feel about this. Can someone tell me if I'm right or wrong? And that's your job. And the crazy thing about everything we're talking about today is it's the normal stuff you already do with your clients by if they're saying, hey, I want to move to the area. Can you tell me the difference between a short-term rental community and long-term? And what are the rules
hmm
around that? Like you're literally you'll spout that off in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You create a video on that and then you're the expert.
I love that. So, is there anything that makes a versus video like go from good to great? Because I think the challenge right now, people who are listening, hey, I love the idea. I want to get more middle of the funnel leads. I see it. I see what you've done with the AI thumbnail. Brilliant. What, in your opinion, what's the framework that makes those versus videos really good? Is it just being like totally unbiased? Is it having your own opinion injected into it? Where do you land on that front?
So I think it's two things. One is it is getting the criteria really clear. Hey, I'm going to base these two verses off of these five things or these four
Hmm.
things, or like
Hmm.
it's housing stock, it's traffic, it's school ratings according to niche.com, not according to me, obviously.
Yeah.
It's and then maybe it's like lifestyle, like what are things to do? Like come up with a criteria that you can say this one is it crushes because the best restaurants in your area. This one has no restaurants, but the houses are $200,000 cheaper, right? Give them some
Hmm.
like usable action items to like make them make their decision easier. The second thing I would say is I know there's this advent of people doing a lot of talking head videos, and heck, I do my live show. It's all talking head, and actually, then one of the next videos I'll show you in a little bit. This talking head video does crush, but people want to see in the versus video specifically get out of the studio, get out of your house, go show me stuff, even if it's cell phone
Hmm.
footage that you edit later.
Hmm.
Find and fill that gap where Zillow and homes.com and realtor.com don't live, which is
Hmm.
that's like, let me show you the restaurant row, let me show you what the houses look like. I can already see what houses look like on Zillow and realtor.com. I don't need you to show me photos. I need to feel like I've been there before. And so getting
Yeah.
outside and showing and helping them discover online is a really big one.
I think it's really smart about getting the criteria right in terms of your grading system. And again, it sounds like you give them the facts and let them decide, as opposed to saying like I'm assuming at the end of it you don't declare a winner.
Yeah, correct. Because I want to sell in both areas anyways. So
That's it's the old line from Michael Jordan. Why don't you talk more about politics? He goes, Republicans buy shoes too. Like,
that's
I think
right.
that's like that's why you want to let them make a decision on it. Okay, so I love that idea of
Yep.
versus video. So number one, other people's listings, leveraging that to create content to help attract more customers to your channel, more subscribers, more leads, more opportunities. Number two, versus videos are killing it. Couple key points there. Number one, using AI to generate your thumbnails. We could spend an entire show on that, Ken, but for today, we'll just say, like, I like the use of not even having text and just having that visual. I think it's brilliant. And number two, get your criteria right and get some man on the street videos, right? Where you're actually
You
in
got
the
it.
neighborhood showing yourself walking around. All right, number three, Ken.
Yep. All right. So number three, this one is I like to call, I'm trying to put a good phrase on this. You're a better marketer than I am. You'll probably come up with one right away, but it's filling the gap that doesn't exist online already or that exists online already. And what I mean is like I noticed 3, 4 years ago that there wasn't a lot of videos on the villages, specifically
Mm,
real estate videos. There was lifestyle stuff and there was golf stuff, but there was no real estate stuff. And so the villages, it's 100,000 home community. And at the time when I pulled this up, I'm like, I can't find any great like explanations of how it all lays out. And so we put out this video. It's 50 minutes from us. Like we weren't selling at all in the villages. I took one of my partners with me, and this video's got a 500,000 views. Probably 3 or 4 thousand subscribers came from this one specific video, and we've got video. We were selling a house in the villages like at least 2 or 3 times a month right now, which really
mm,
it only comes from 2 or 3 videos that we've done out there. And so it's this idea of like if something new is coming to your area or you're online trying to do research and you're like, it's actually really hard for me to find something, that should be bells going off because other
mm.
people will be searching that stuff too. And so if you could become the knowledge broker, fill that in, that creates some virality. If you're the only one, then you are the resource for people. And that's the one
Yeah.
thing that we did on the villages. Since then, now a bunch of people have come after us and realized that like I should also be doing video, but we were there first. And because of that, I think that was a powerful opportunity for us for views and for leads.
Yeah, it's the blue ocean strategy to the T, which is understanding that if there's an absence of information about a particular topic and there is demand for that topic, then you should be the one who's creating that content. Would there be tools that people would use? I know there's tools that I've seen online where people can identify trends early, like trend spotter tools, and maybe we'll link to a few in the show notes here. But I've seen a couple where like certain keywords, like I think it's called explodingtopics.com. I'll
Mm.
don't go to that domain yet. Let me verify that actually works first. But like it's
If not, you should grab
explodingtopics.com.
it.
Yeah, like I mean it's a great domain. But the idea is like you find like I'll give you an example of this. I got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and both girls. And right now, I mean, we are in the world where it is all about K-pop demon hunters, and
Of course.
so I mean, like it is consuming their entire lives at this stage. And so like we're looking for hairdressers who can do the K-pop demon style hunter, style for the girls. And like that's a good example where the demand is there. I'm sure we're not the only parents because I've been to the school where they're basically all rehearsing it. But like imagine if you were the agent like, hey, we found the 6 hairdressers in the area who specialize in K-pop. Like that's an example where like, and it's a terrible example, bad analogy, not related to real estate, probably not timely, but it's a absence of information that you're now filling with content, which is what you're saying.
I'll tell you what. Well, listen, yeah, exactly. And so speaking of K-pop, and we're gonna go on a little trip here. So my daughter wanted to dress up like one for Halloween, and my wife ordered it online. It didn't make it on time. So now we're scrambling looking online. Where can I find K-pop demon hunter costumes? Because today is Halloween. And so she ended up having to pivot to something else. But I'm like, if I was like in the costume business, I would be posting content like crazy. Here's where you can pick it up, right? Or here's where I can get it
Mm-hmm.
to you overnight. So that's what you're talking about. And I think the cool thing about real estate agents is we have our thumb on the pulse of a lot of what's going on in our community. So
Yep.
you see that new sign pop up. Like I know some like in Boston, you don't see signs pop up where it's like new development coming because everything there's been around for 100 years. But you
Mm-hmm.
see maybe a building with a new scrim go over it,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
know, hey, this is actually going to be a condo conversion or a new hotel coming. Like that's probably not online anywhere yet. Let me do some content on
Yeah.
it. And
Yep.
so it's just like, being there first because eventually other folks are going to look that up and you're going to be the one that pops up.
I love that. Be first, be fast, my friend Tom Ferry would say. So, other people's listings, the versus strategy, blue ocean strategy, number 4.
All right, so this is a great one because you can do it on repeats. And so this is a video I do every quarter. And I almost name, I think I name it the same thing every time. And every time I do it, it does better, weirdly enough. This
Mm-hmm.
last time I did it was 6 months ago. We've got another one of these coming out in 2 weeks, but massive Orlando construction projects that'll change how you live. And so for those listening to just the audio, it just says big Orlando projects with some construction behind me. Again, the construction behind me is all AI. And there's a lot of other things with thumbnails. Like you said, we could do uh, a whole video just on that, but it's a very clickable thumbnail that talks about projects in Orlando. And why this is important is because people care about where they live many times and they want to be proud of where they live. And maybe they're like, hey, I see so much construction. I don't really know what any of it is. And so what I do is I break down this. I'm like, hey, on today's video, I'm going to talk about the 5 projects that are shaping the Central Florida area and what they mean to homeowners living in the area. Project number 1 is, and I just go right through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of our whole deal. And then I just say along the way, hey, by the way, if any of this is valuable to you, by the way, my team and I, we have 1,700 5-star reviews over on Google. We'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. Reach out at theorlandoreal.com/YouTube to get started. And that's kind of like been our tagline over and over again. It's been fantastic. It works every time.
Yeah, and that's you're doing those 4 times a year. Is that correct?
4 times a year. Yep.
Yeah. And so my advice, I hear that. So this is a great pillar piece of content. I remember I went to the HubSpot conference many years ago in Boston, and they talked because HubSpot, is the OGs of inbound marketing. They actually coined the
Yeah.
phrase, to my knowledge, even though Seth Godin was the one probably popularized the concept. They coined the term inbound marketing. And one of the things that they said in that conference, one of the things I think Dharmesh said was that like they were producing hundreds of blogs per month. And this is
Mhm.
kind of pre even video being a big part of what they did. And like, the reality was that about 10% of the blogs created like 80% of the leads they got. They just didn't,
Wow.
they really didn't know which one was going to hit. But once they found that 10%, that became part, like it's like a restaurant that goes on the menu. Now all of a sudden you're known for that thing. And so what I love about this idea, and I want to give a reaction and get your response to this, Ken, is that this idea that people care about construction, whether it's real estate related or just about the area, is a great example of using a broad topic. Now, I split my time between Boston and New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, my town, Auburn, we don't have a lot of construction happening right now. We don't have a lot of things happening in Auburn. So if you're in one of these small town, because Orlando is one of the it is and is quickly becoming one of the great American cities. I mean, it's truly gone through incredible transformation. If you don't live in one of these cities, do you just broaden your sort of call it geographic reach here to talk more about the area. Even if you're only selling in 20% of it, you talk more about like, hey, in Southern New Hampshire, let me cover the top 10 or top 5 construction projects that are happening across the state today.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
We hit 30 minutes. I got this new camera. Sorry. Yeah. So I think you do. I think you have to broaden your topic a little bit. And so for us, if I just wanted to sell winter garden and I was just like, hey, that's everything going on here. Well, I live in, like, you've been in my office before. It's like this
Yeah.
historic little area. And yeah, there's a couple things happening every once in a while, but for the most part, there's not a lot that turns over. So for us, it's Central Florida. It's a 6-county area. We sell in 112 different zip codes. I mean, we have to go broad in order to collect enough people. And so I know some people, they're doing their whole state. And hey, if I
Hmm.
get a lead on the other side of the state, I'd take a referral fee happily. I'm going to keep
Yep.
everything here local. And that's going to be for me and my team. And then everything else gets referred out. And then maybe you expand your team across the city if that's, or the state, if that's something that you want to do. So yeah, I think you have to, you don't want to do real estate in 2026. That's too broad. I'm
Hmm.
not Grant Stephan. I'm not some of these guys with millions of people already with all of the SEO behind them. So you have to niche down enough, but sometimes niching down too small is detrimental to your growth.
There's a really important insight that I learned early in my career in marketing that it's something I've tried to embrace that I think can help our audience understand what you're describing. Because I think this idea is brilliant, Ken, which is this idea of build your audience before you need them. So
Mm,
whereas today you might say, I don't sell in that area, I don't even have agents I can refer in that area. Okay, so what's the value? Well, that's a very short-sighted perspective on if you're only going to ever be as big as you're going to be, then sure, don't do it. But if you have aspirations where you want to grow a big business, you got to build your audience before you need it. And I think that's exactly what you're doing in this video. So number one, other people's listings. Number two, the verses. Number three, the blue ocean strategy. And let's just call this other one, build your audience before you need it, as number four. Number five, Ken, let's take us home, my friend.
yeah, for sure. And before we get to number five, you build the audience before you need it. I mean, this is another one where are those people like the versus videos middle of funnel? Probably not. But if you're keeping them in your ecosystem and you're keeping them engaged, those are the kind of videos that bring in organic leads, but they also convert past clients, sphere, agent
Mm-hmm.
referrals, and kind of make your brand well known. So thanks for letting me do that. All right. So fifth video, this is an interesting one we just started doing not too long ago, which is basically this podcast style. So I kicked up a podcast a year ago because I wanted to get into more people in our area. And so this is interesting because this guy I interviewed, Joel, he's from a healthcare system locally. It's got a whopping 498 views. Is that a
Mm-hmm.
good video, Jimmy? For less than
Well,
500 videos or
I
views?
mean, I mean that's the opposite of an outlier. It's like a negative outlier, right? It's like
Correct. Yeah.
if
And
if
this is on
if
a
your
new channel. We
yeah, if your marketing team's looking at, they're like, hey Ken, can you never do one of those videos again, please? That's the reaction
correct.
they're gonna have.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, in all like metrics driven kind of thing. And this was on a new channel and that kind of thing, which just it's our podcast channel that we keep separately. But for most part, you're like, okay, 500 views, not awesome. And what I started doing was trying to build more relationships through podcasting that I could then turn around and create multiple pieces of business from, or multiple pieces of content that would then create more pieces of business. And so for this example, I sat down with him because I was seriously curious how their healthcare system was helping change concierge medicine. It sounded interesting to me. And the
Hmm.
concierge medicine is, where they go to your house, or if you do come in, it feels like you're in like the med spa. They were working with the Orlando Magic. I mean, the whole thing sounded really interesting. And so, worst
Yeah.
case scenario, it was a good piece of content for my sphere. But at the end, I'm like, hey, listen, he said to me at the end of our podcast, he's like, hey, this has been great, like giving us exposure. This is amazing. I love your guys' brand. How can I help you?
Hmm.
Like, I'm glad you asked that, actually. I said, so my real estate team, we help doctors relocate from all over the world, actually. This is something that we do. Now, we had done it a lot in the past, but it wasn't like we had a department like we do today. Now, since this podcast a year ago, we have 5 agents that this is almost their full-time job because I was like, hey, if you have somebody relocating to Orlando for a new position, doctor, nurse,
Hmm.
executive, we want to be your reload team. We want to make sure that whatever person you're trying to attract to the area, that we can be that resource for you. And in that, we've had like more than 50 referrals now since I've done that podcast with him that came inbound from their healthcare system because simply I was building a relationship. And so, what I would tell
Mm.
you is even if you don't have a massive audience, if you got together with that local developer, that local politician, that local like healthcare provider, whatever it is. I mean, I think about the people that sell, Maserati or Mercedes. Hey, could you come on
Hmm.
the podcast and talk a little bit about your clientele and what makes them different? Or what's it like selling Ferrari in Orlando?
Mm.
And now we're making it all about them, right? Like I
Hmm.
sincerely want to know their favorite Ferrari. How did they get into sales? Where are their clientele coming from? What's the craziest story you have for me, right? And at the end, hopefully I've built up enough goodwill that they ask me the question, how can I help you? And the goal would be like, hey, you get in front of 100 of the highest net worth individuals in Orlando every single year. I'd love to be that link if they're ever talking about buying and selling a house.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, so I'm taking a ton of notes here, Ken. One thing that you just reminded me of is Meet the Press. So Meet the
Mm,
Press is a program that airs that does not have that many viewers. But what it does have is one of the highest advertising dollars per viewer of any single show in the history of broadcast television
mm,
because the
mm,
people who watch the Meet the Press are senators and maybe in the future presidents. And so their audience is small but highly, highly influential. And so I love this idea of not worshiping at the altar of getting views and clicks in the absence of recognizing sort of these hidden gems, which is to say that if I can make this one connection and get, 30, 40, 50 views on this channel a week, or maybe I boost it, get a couple thousand views so the person feels good, but this is one sale that creates many. And so I think it's a brilliant idea as it relates to realizing that it isn't necessarily all about attention. Sometimes you go for the influence play. And I think this is a great example of executing that. And everyone who's listening right now, by the way, knows of people in their area who have outsized influence, who are able to move the needle. So I think this is Ken, the reason I love number five and why it's a great way to end the show, it's a very counterintuitive approach to the way that most people are doing YouTube right now, which is they're pursuing the growth, which is great, but don't miss out on those hidden gems. Ken, we talked about other people's listings. We talked about the Versa strategy. We talked about the Blue Ocean strategy. We talked about these audience builders. And we now just talked about the one-to-many strategy. This has been insanely helpful. I mean, we did not waste a single word here, guys. I'm sure people who are watching this YouTube video right now appreciate all the insight and all the knowledge you shared. If you guys could give Ken some love in the comments for us, let us know what you think. If we should do another one of these episodes just on AI generated thumbnails, let us know in the chat right now. Ken, I already know the answer to this, but I got to ask it. Where is the best place for people to connect with you online if they want to follow the Ken Pozek brand that you are building, this sort of
yeah.
international, well-known agent that everyone aspires to be like? In fact, some people even compare you to the modern day Elon Musk. So, Ken, where can people connect with you online, my friend?
The Elon Musk of real estate. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Instagram's the best way. I do answer all my own DMs. So at Ken Pozek is the easiest way to go. And from there, you can check out our real estate team and our media company and that kind of thing.
That's it. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcast. This is another episode of Growth Mode. Be on the lookout. Every Tuesday, we drop new episodes. Ken, thank you so much. We'll have you back soon, my friend.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.